We start today with the biggest off-the-field news in the NFL. The Panthers have fired head coach Matt Rhule after losing 37-15 to the 49ers yesterday. Rhule just 11-27 overall in his third season. Defensive pass game coordinator Steve Wilks will serve as the interim coach. It was indeed a rough go for Matt Rhule in Carolina. He won less than a third of his games, including 1-11 in his last 12. The Panthers allowed twice as many points as they scored during that time. Carolina did not make the playoffs under Rhule and haven't, in fact, been to the postseason since 2017. Wendy Nix, Jeff Saturday, Louis Riddick is with us, and now Jeremy Fowler as well. And we'll start there, Jeremy. Why did the Panthers make this decision now?
Well, Wendy, I was told it wasn't just the losing. There was not a lot of excitement in that stadium yesterday.
Right.
It was rough. A lot of empty seats, not enough blue shirts, too many red 49er shirts. And so owner David Tepper noticed all that, figured, coupled with the fact that Matt Rhule is 1-27 in games where the opponent scores 17 or more points. So you just can't hang on that way. It was a matter of when, not if. And so David Tepper now and GM Scott Fitter are trying to sort out how, which staff members they keep on under interim coach Steve Wilks, which moves they're going to make for coaches to depart. And really, they're going to try to get back some of their draft capital. I know that's a push right now. They only have 9 draft picks in the next 2 years. So they could make some trades on their roster. They have some talent that I know other teams are intrigued by.
Well, adding to this, Tepper has bemoaned the fact that he thinks it'll take some time for this sort of recovery to take place, which is not great news for Panthers fans. But what do you make of this call right now?
Yeah, I think Tepper is a very aggressive owner. I think he's showing his frustration and what has happened under the Rhule regime and kind of what this process has been. 1-11 the last 12 games is you're not gonna sell any tickets, to Jeremy's point. But I think he's trying to get energy and excitement for a coaching circuit. Like every coach that has an idea, and you just heard Lewis talk about it, right? Whether it's Dan Quinn, like have these guys, you want them chomping at the bit of a potential play there in Carolina. Yeah. He understands if you wait till the end, guys don't want to make moves. They like to know things in advance, and so he's making the decision early so that he can get the energy and excitement for other coaches considering this job.
Lewis?
It's amazing how things can just flip on their head, isn't it, in the NFL?
Yeah.
I remember when Matt Rhule was hired. Remember, every team in the NFL who had an opening wanted Matt Rhule. Sure. David Tepper gave him a 7-year contract, man. I mean, It wasn't like this was some guy who he was like knocking on people's doors going, oh, please hire me, I need a job. Now it's, well, we need more energy in the building. We've lost consumer confidence. We're getting the brakes beat off of us every week. So I got to find somebody who has more energy, who has more ideas, et cetera, et cetera. Well, what did you think 3 years ago? Like, what were the things that he told you 3 years ago that sold you to give him a 7-year contract that now all of a sudden you're going, I just got to get him out of here. And he has how much left on his contract?
$40
million or something like that I saw?
40. And I remember.
You know what I'm saying? So, like.
Yeah, go ahead, Lewis.
My point being this. Here's the weird thing about this. It's like, you know what? Instead of like spending so much time trying to find out who's the latest, greatest guy that Adam Schefter's talking about or Chris Mortensen's talking about or anybody else at any of these other networks is talking about as a hot name, maybe turn inward, look at your own process and go, what did we miss here? What did we miss? Because they were sold on this dude, man. You would not, and I don't say that disrespectfully, because I'll tell you this. When I was down at the Senior Bowl and Matt Rhule was coaching the Senior Bowl, I was listening to him relate to the players, talk to the players, coach the players, encourage the players. And I liked many, many, many things that I heard. Many things. But something went horribly wrong from the time they hired him. He coached the Senior Bowl. He gets down there and he's trying to implement his program till now. Something went wrong. So if I'm Mr. Tepper, I'm sitting there going, I got to figure out what I missed here. Because it's not just about finding the next guy with some great ideas who makes me feel good and helps me sell tickets. It's bigger than that.
You know what, Lewis, I couldn't agree more. I think we did a show that day, and we sat and listened to David Tepper in the introductory press conference, and he's right. I mean, this was we went out and got this guy, Jeremy. This wasn't he happened to fall in our lap. So you mentioned that he wants to get some excitement, or we talked about this, about the coaching job itself, but what will the process be?
Well, I think they'll look for probably a different personality. And to Lewis's point, I go back to what a source told me about the Matt Rhule era, that he is generally well-liked, but his experience came from Tom Coughlin when he was an assistant coach. So he tried to bring a Tom Coughlin old school, which is tough in this era, as we know, and mix that with wanting to be liked by the players. And there were some communication issues that came with that. So they're going to want a master communicator at the NFL level, somebody who's proven it. I'm told they'll also want somebody who can be flexible in offense, I should say, adaptable. Like you're seeing coaches around the league do well with either backup quarterbacks or quarterbacks that aren't considered top 10 passers, like a Jalen Hurts comes to mind. They're going to want somebody who can do more with less.
Listen, leadership of men is the main and contributing factor to success in the NFL. It is not, you can't out-recruit them, you can't do all this. It's not, and to Lewis's point, it's not always about X's and O's. It's about getting guys to believe they play above X's and O's. You have to have that type of mentality. It's how these guys lead in the locker room. And you see it, Daboll is a perfect example, right? Is you have guys, it's not always perfect, but for whatever reason, these guys feel they can accomplish it for him. That's what they're looking for to find in Carolina.
They are no doubt buying what he's selling. There's little question about that. By the way, speaking of being adaptable, P.J. Walker in line to start Sunday against the Rams. Baker Mayfield continuing to deal with a sprained ankle. Jeremy, thank you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.